Hello and g'day! Today's video is how to fussy cut images by hand. My name is Donna and I know that a few people don't know how or what fussy cutting is. Fussy cutting is when you leave a little border around the image. This hasn't got a border, so it's a straight out cut out image. This one here, I'm leaving a little border around it. The trick is, how do you do it that it looks neat? And like Kim once said, so that it doesn't look like you took to it with a chainsaw. Here I've got a sheet of images. Now they're all different shapes and sizes. And I've got a pair of small scissors that are perfect for fussy cutting. And these particular scissors are called EK Success Cutter Bee scissors. Now I've put a link below in case you're interested in getting these particular scissors. They are really worth getting a pair. Here's a little image that I fussy cut earlier. So you can just see that white border around the edge of the graphic. I'm just going to freehand cut all the way around this little envelope. Now I'm doing it directly off the card, so I'm pushing away this little piece of cardboard under my fingers. I'm going to turn the card around and go back up to the top of the envelope. I'm trying to keep the card out of my way of my fingers, and I'm pushing it down out of my road so that it is under my fingers. Turn the card around and I cut up the straight edge of the top of the envelope, and I'm going to do the same again. Now when you're cutting out like this, the best thing to do is to be able to not have to cut it out on a whole sheet of things. But that's not always possible. Then once it's cut off the sheet, you can go back and trim it up if you need to. That's why I'm saying these little scissors are perfect for this, because you can get in and just straighten it up. You'll also notice that I didn't cut square edges on the corners. I actually rounded them. I'm going to show you how I cut the butterfly next, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pencil and pretend that this is going to be how I cut it. So it's going to be my cut plan. Trace around the edge exactly how I want to cut it. Yes, I'm putting these tiny little squiggly lines in to follow the shape. That's what makes fussy cutting really look good. Around the top of his head, and then I'll join this piece back up to here. Be sure to join this piece up in a nice flow like this and join it back up to your start line. Now I'm going to do the same on this one. So again, pretending that this is going to be my cut line, but I'm using my pencil. And I'm just going to trace around the edge of the graphic, leaving a border. Now I'll do the rose. The rose is a little bit harder to see the edge of the background, but you can still do it. When you have an image that you're not sure, just make it up. You don't have to trace first. I'm only tracing to show you how it will look when we cut it. Okay, now we're ready to start cutting this little butterfly. So you pick up your work, you start off the edge of the paper and you start cutting in. Now watch closely as to how I cut. My scissors are hardly moving. They're not moving up and down. You know when you cut a piece of paper, you chop, 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 chop? That's not happening here. I'm doing very, very little cuts. The scissors are not opening and shutting a real lot. See how I'm turning my card, my paper? My scissors are hardly moving. They're staying very much in the same position in my hand. My sheet of graphics are doing all of the moving. So my left hand is swiveling around the sheet. My scissors in my right hand are pretty much staying still, and you can see that they're not opening and closing a lot. They're opening a tiny bit, and I'm just closing the cut as I move the sheet around. So moving that sheet around with your left hand, your right hand, where the scissors are, I'm doing very, very little short, shallow cuts. Swivel it all the way around here with your left hand. You can move your scissors around ever so slightly when you need to. And now I'm going to take it off the sheet because it's going to be easier for me to continue cutting. When you can take it off the sheet, do that. Now join it back up so that you don't have a jagged cut, and continue cutting. It is much easier to cut when it's off the sheet. Now here, I'm going to turn the work all the way around. Scissors are staying still. And then all the way around again. Now I'll show it to you again. Turn the work, scissors are staying still. Just watch the scissors. They're not moving, only the paper is. And then you continue on. Notice the scissors are not chopping hard, they're just doing very shallow cuts. Turn your work, and then you disappear off screen, my gosh. But you get it. You join that last cut up with your very first cut so that it doesn't show a jagged edge. Look, my fussy cutting's not perfect. You will see, if you look at this close up, you will see some jagged edges. But that's handmade. I'm not too worried about it. So let's cut out this little envelope here. With this one, you'll be able to see where I'm turning my scissors a little bit more than my card. So watch my scissors now. See? Swivel my scissors. It's not wrong to do either or either. Whatever suits the work at the time that you're doing it. You can do both. You need to do a combination of both. And once it's off the sheet, again, you can tidy it up. Distress ink the edges also makes a difference. If you distress ink the edges, it will make the white border disappear. The one on the right's got the white border, the one on the left, the border has disappeared. Now I'll cut this image out here. It's a good one because it's got a lot of straight lines, and then it goes into the rows which needs a little bit more attention. Now I'm moving my scissors on this one at the beginning, and I'll turn the corner using my scissors and turning the card just a little bit. So you'll see here I'll cut it off the edge of the page first. See how I'm turning my scissors? And now I'm turning my paper. Turning my paper, and this is a really good example of how you turn the paper and the scissors do not move at all. You watch the scissors, they're staying perfectly still, and I'm moving the paper around with my left hand. So the scissors, and I'm opening and shutting them very little. I'm just doing the slightest cut. I'm not opening and shutting the scissors a real lot. You're only seeing a very, very small amount of cutting going on. The moving of the paper in your left hand is what's doing most of the work. Now I'm cutting along that straight line and up around the corner. and you can see there it's got a perfect little border. Well, good enough anyway. Right, now we've got a little scallop around this image. There's two ways you can do this. I've got a scalloped round punch. So instead of fussy cutting it, I'm just going to use my round scallop punch. And boom, that one's done. There's no white border around it. It's in close, but what I could do is I could use a bigger round, like say a 1 inch. That's about a 3/4 inch scallop, and it fitted perfect. But I could use a 1 inch round, which is bigger, and that would leave me a white border. Now to cut postage stamps, they're always a little more tricky. You've got several ways you can cut a postage stamp. These ones here, on the image, they've got a serrated edge. But I'm not going to cut these ones serrated. I'm just going to fussy cut straight lines using a little border around the edge. So the serrated image stays put, but my cut line is straight. Then when I go to use these on one of my projects, I'll put a serrated edge behind it. I'll put another piece of paper behind it. I actually followed the serrated edge on this little mini stamp, but boy, what a headache to do it like this. So if you've got scissors that have the stamp edge, you'd be best to go ahead and use that. This one here, I'll start by freehand cutting, and we'll go all the way around. And then when I get up to the flowers, I'll pencil line this in around here so you can see exactly how and where I'm going to cut this. It's much easier to do it with the pencil, so you can see anyway. Now, if I wasn't doing this demonstration, I would have just continued cutting. And once you've done this, practice this, you don't need to do the pencil line. Just keep cutting. But you can see how it's going to end up. And there's not much room between each image on this page so that you can cut things away. You've really got to think about what you cut away. So I'll cut it off now and continue on cutting. Now again, my fussy cutting's not perfect. Don't worry too much if your fussy cutting is not exactly perfect. Grab some magazine images and just practice first. Turning the cardstock will give me a nice rounded corner. And finishes up really good. So here are all the images that I cut out. Well, I'm pretty sure these tips will help you be a little better at fussy cutting. I'm Donna. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.